Depression does not always appear suddenly. In many cases, it enters a person's life quietly and gradually. It may begin with small changes that seem harmless at first. You might notice a loss of motivation, a constant feeling of tiredness, or a growing lack of interest in things that once made you happy. Activities that used to bring excitement start to feel meaningless, and even simple tasks begin to require much more effort than before. At the beginning, most people assume this feeling is just temporary sadness. Everyone experiences difficult days, so it is easy to believe the feeling will pass on its own. However, when those days slowly turn into weeks or even months, something deeper may be happening inside the mind. Psychologists explain that depression affects the brain in ways that make everyday life feel heavier. The brain's reward system, which is responsible for motivation and pleasure, becomes less active. As a result, activities that once felt enjoyable may now feel exhausting or pointless. Even replying to messages, meeting friends, or stepping outside the house can suddenly feel overwhelming. But there is an important truth that many people misunderstand about depression. Feeling depressed does not mean you are weak. And it certainly does not mean you have failed in life. In many situations, depression is the mind's response to carrying too much stress, emotional pain, or pressure for too long without relief. When the brain becomes overwhelmed, it sometimes slows things down as a way of protecting itself. Unfortunately, this slowdown can create a difficult cycle. When motivation disappears, people begin withdrawing from activities and social connections. They stop doing the things that once brought them joy, and they distance themselves from others. But the more someone isolates themselves, the stronger the feeling of sadness often becomes. Over time, this cycle can make life feel even heavier and more difficult to manage. Breaking this cycle rarely happens through one dramatic change. Instead, recovery usually begins with very small steps. Something as simple as going for a short walk outside, completing a small task, or having a brief conversation with someone you trust can slowly help the brain regain a sense of movement and control. Another important step is learning to speak openly about what you are experiencing. Depression often grows stronger in silence because the mind begins to believe it must handle everything alone. But human beings are not designed to carry emotional weight without support. Talking to a trusted friend, family member, or mental health professional can significantly reduce the pressure that builds inside the mind. Over time, the brain begins to remember something important. Difficult moments are not permanent states. They are experiences that can change. Recovery does not mean that every day will suddenly feel perfect, but it does mean that light can gradually return to places that once felt completely dark. Sometimes, the first step out of depression is not solving everything at once. Sometimes it is simply choosing to believe that your story is not finished yet. And if this message helped you understand depression a little better, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it today.